Everybody loves a good cinematic shot with a DSLR. But what about with an iPhone? Today I want to show you a few quick tricks you can use to make your iPhone footage a whole lot more cinematic. This video is very similar to my cinematic camera movements video that I made a couple months back. You can check that up here if you haven't seen it, but this video in particular is going to target filmmakers who don't have a DSLR and are shooting mainly on their iPhones. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you're shooting in slow motion. If you open up your camera, you can slide over to the slow motion option on your phone. I'm using an iPhone 8 Plus, so I have two options for frame rates in slow motion. In the settings, I can choose between 120 frames per second or 240 frames per second. Depending on your version of iPhone, you may have different frame rates for your slow motion, but I generally like to go with 120 frames per second. That's 5 times slower than standard speed when I conform down to a 24 frame per second timeline. So this 5 times slower motion looks really nice and has a nice cinematic touch to it. Now, once I'm in slow motion mode, I move on to my most important trick, putting something in your foreground. From there, I'll slide my camera out from behind it. Now, because the iPhone lens is relatively wide, you'll have to get pretty close to whatever your foreground object is, but it still works really well. Just get right up there, slide out from behind it, and you'll have a nice subtle reveal that really adds a lot to any video shot. Because phones are essentially all automatic when it comes to exposure and focus, there's one really important step that you need to do before pressing record. Start by looking through your camera at the final frame of your shot so that you have the proper exposure. Now tap and hold on the screen of your iPhone. After a few seconds, you'll see an AE/AF lock. Your exposure and your focus will lock on that final frame. Now, if you bring your camera back behind the object in your foreground, the screen will go dark because it's being blocked, and then you'll slide it out and you'll have a perfectly exposed, perfectly focused final shot. If you don't do this, your initial frame is going to be very bright because it's going to try to compensate for the blocked lens, and then it's going to have to adjust as you're sliding out, and it just won't look right. Your initial final shot is going to look very bright, and then it's going to dim down. So you really want to make sure that you're locking your focus and you're locking your exposure just by tapping and holding on the screen. There are apps out there that can allow you to do this, can really customize the camera on your phone. There's some like Filmic Pro that are going to actually give you a focus sort of toggle where you can adjust your focus manually on your camera. You can adjust your exposure and everything else, and you can lock these settings in. And this is really nice to use, really useful. However, for this video, I want to keep it as simple as possible. No additional apps, just your phone. We'll talk about those apps in a future video. Now, the combination of this move, this subtle reveal, and slow motion will make a huge difference in your shots. It'll stabilize the shots and it'll add that nice touch that really provides some sort of almost suspense as you're revealing a city or you're revealing a person. I used this move over and over in my recent Chicago vlog that I shot on my phone, and it really added a nice touch. So go out and give it a try. Toss your phone in slow motion, throw something in your foreground, and slide out and try some different cinematic moves and see what you can come up with using your iPhone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, write a comment down below, and definitely go ahead and subscribe. I post videos every Wednesday at 10 a.m. with the goal of helping you become a better filmmaker and photographer. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to go out there and make something.